Hello and welcome to the Earth Science Associates video on the bidding forecast. This is a part of the GOMCube Analytics add-on and can be accessed through the GOMSmart website. This will be a briefer overview of the bidding forecast. We'll go over how to access the data, what's included with the forecast, and a little bit how to interpret the results. If you'd like a much deeper dive into the bidding forecast and look at really what goes on behind the scenes in the modeling and some of the statistical tools there, we'll have a link in the description. So there are two main parts of the bidding forecast. One would be over the bidding, and the second would be over the MROVs. So on the bidding side, we take a look and we want to know which blocks are likely to be bid on. And so we have created a model that forecasts a probability that a block will receive a bid. Now, if a block does receive a bid, the next most important thing to know would be the bid amount. And so we have another forecast that makes a prediction on the high bid amount for every single block. The MROV is the minimum amount you must bid in order to win from the government. And so a large majority of blocks do receive a certain minimum value from the government. And so we give you the probability that any block will be a minimum MROV. Now, if it's not a minimum MROV, that MROV amount is important. And so we also have a forecast on the exact MROV. Now, this forecast is restricted to deep water only. Most of the interesting action is happening in the deep water, so this isn't too big of a detriment. Additionally, we also restrict ourselves to areas around where companies already have leases. This is because we don't want to make predictions out in the frontier. There's very little data, and you're not going to get a very good prediction anyways. We went back to 1983 to try to figure out trends and things of that nature, but basically all of our data is from 2009 onward that's used to train our models. We use a completely purely statistical approach. This means the results are objective and consistent. There is no subjectivity whatsoever, and it's purely given by the data. This lets us have benchmarks and evaluations of outliers, and additionally, our forecasts now have nice explicit measures of uncertainty that come out of these statistical models. When we open up GOMSmart.com, here's our homepage, and on the Analytics tab is where you can find all of our analytics add-ons through GOMSmart. You can see them all here. We're going to focus on the blocks bidding for this right now. So here's the interface. There's not too much to it. It's not that confusing to use. The first thing to select would be your training period. Like I said, we go back to 2009. But if you think that things have changed later since then, you can make a, you can go into the future, and we'll only use data going back to 2013 instead in this case. Additionally, you get to select your forecast. Now we default it to the current sale. You probably don't need to change this. But if you wanted to actually look back and grab a previous sale, analyze the results to see how we've been doing and see what our methodology, what it gives out, you can do that too. But for the most part, you'll probably want to leave that on whatever's current. Now, the price of oil does play a role in our predictions. So we don't know what that will be in the future, and we didn't want to additionally try to forecast that. It's a very complicated thing, the price of oil. So we let you select that for yourself. If you didn't know, you don't have an idea, you could probably use the price of oil for the day, and it'll probably mostly be accurate. But if you have a good idea, if you think the price of oil is going up or down, you can enter it up there. This check mark, use blocks expected to expire. We default that checked on. And the reason we have this is because for the forecast, we in general don't know for sure which blocks will be available for the sale. And so we have to make a little bit of a guess there. Obviously, all the blocks that are open we include, unless there's any special stipulation on them. But if a block is expected to expire before the sale, and this check mark is on, we'll also include that for the forecast. Now, once it becomes closer to the sale, the government does put out an official list, and as soon as that official list is out, that's what we go off of. So then we'll know which blocks are available for sure. Now, this is a long process to run, and so we don't want to make you wait for that. And that's what you enter your email here. It defaults to whatever you log into GOMSmart, but you can change it if you like. And so when you hit run, it's going to kick off a process on our servers. We'll email you a zip file. So just make sure things from earthsci.com are not blocked, or maybe check your spam folder because it could end up there. So this is going to be a folder of what you can expect to receive. You can see there's a lot of folders and some PDFs. We'll mostly focus on the PDFs. It's got a nice overview of everything. So this is the bid report. You open that here. It'll look like this. The top has some general information, parameters that you entered, what price of oil you use, the training period, things like that. Here's some model information. There's the formulas we're actually using behind the scenes, but the variables might be important to you. You can actually see what variables are going into this model. Same thing for the bid amount. And then a map of the results. So how this is set up right now, the red and orange are the blocks that we think are most likely to receive bids, and then the blue would be the blocks that are least likely to receive bids. And you can see it's limited to deep water, and additionally, this is, you can see around where current leases exist. Here are our error bars, and so we'll always keep this updated to the most 8 recent years, so we can put the graphs there. Again, we'll go into this more in the other video, but the thing to take away here is if you look at the most recent plots, this is 2019, 2020. The red would be, again, the blocks that we think are most likely to receive bids, and then in fact, over half of the blocks that we think are most likely to receive bids are having received bids. So that's pretty good. We're limiting it down pretty strong for you. We can say, you can, again, be pretty sure of the red blocks, over half of them will actually be bid on. Something similar for the bid amount in this case. The gray would be low bid amounts, and then the red would be high bid amounts. So you can see there how that plays out. We'll give you our distribution of our forecasted bid amounts. This is pretty standard stuff. Normally you're going to see a lot of, this is $800,000 to $1.5 million range, but it can get up there. Now, some of the work that comes out of the analysis that's interesting in and of itself are these are called tornado plots because of how they look. And what this is doing is telling you the influence of all of our variables that our model has teased out. And so you can see, in this case, the very first row here is high bid amounts, and it's going to the right. And so what that's saying is it has a large positive influence on the current bid amount. So you're in an area with past high bid amounts. Currently, you're probably going to also have high bid amounts in the area. And you can see blocks, the bars that go to the left, this would be total open blocks that going to the left. The left is 0, so it has a negative influence. What that's saying is the more open blocks you have, the lower your bid amount is likely to be. And that's because if you have a lot of open blocks, you're probably not in that hot of an area, probably nothing happening there. People probably aren't going to be willing to pay a lot of money. So that's what the model teases out. And again, this will change based on whatever trading period you pick. And also this continues to be updated every single time there's a sale. We make new models, and so this is constantly being updated. That was for the bid amounts. We have individual ones per company, and that's to figure out where we believe Shell will bid. This is for the bid no bid, and so this is the tornado plot for Shell. And it's the same thing. It tells you what variables our model has pulled out that are important to Shell. And so this is what's used to create and figure out where we believe Shell will bid, and then it goes down for all the companies that we have in the Gulf. That's the bid report. Then the MROV report is very similar. Let me open that. Same basic thing, identifying information up top. Here are the variables that go into the MROV, and you can actually see here it's actually a random forest model, so it's not a regression model like our bid no bid and bid amounts are. This is a random forest model. What comes out of the random forest model is a bit different than a regression, but this is telling you the variables that end up being important and strong. The ones up top are the most strong. The ones at the bottom are least strong. Notice we have a little bit of shorthand, so we actually have some help files and things like that you can take a look at. You can actually see here. We have some links here to help you out if you want to know about random forest. And then also we have here's a summary variable attributes. You can actually look up our shorthand if some of it's not clear by the name of it. And then same thing. So this was the probability of receiving minimum MRV, and this would be then for the MRV amount. And you can see being previously rejected is a pretty high thing there. And then same thing, the close average MRV area is also important. The output is very similar to the bid no bid. This is going to be a map where the red are blocks that are very unlikely to be minimum, and then the blue are likely to be minimum. So the majority of blocks are likely to be minimum MRVs. And then also for the MRV amount, the gray is low MRVs and the red is high MRVs. That way you can put all this data up, and you probably have an idea of what blocks are interesting to you, and you can compare it to what our results are. You can make sure you're not missing anything too much. Ours is a look using, again, just general public information, so you can really think of it as an unbiased view from the outside of what an outside observer would view the value of a block. So there's a lot more data in here. Like I said, that was the block attributes. We have some help there and things like that. But we also have that's all the values that go into the model. This forecast view database here basically has the data for mapping. The layer files pull from that, so if you want to pull this into a map yourself and take a look at it that way, you can. The models are all parameters of the models. If you'd like to make a complete forecast yourself, you can go ahead and do that. Bid forecast stat data has information on the confidence intervals and things like that. If you want to take a look. ESA block forecast.csv. This has the majority of the real usable data. So this is the probabilities of receiving bids for every single block by company and the high bid amounts for every single block in Deepwater. And then as well the MROV forecast likelihood of minimum and the MROV amount is all in this CSV here. So that will conclude the brief overview of the bid forecast. If you'd like, again, a deeper look at how the model works and really a lot of the statistics that go on behind the scenes, again, check out the link in the description below. Thank you for watching.